Robert Bastian.
Yeah, they call me Bob. Don't have to call me Robert. My wife calls me other things. I told her I was going to run for mayor, and she said I had to be out of my mind. We moved up here in 1965 from Lafayette. You know where that little university is down there in Lafayette. I have 4 children here, 6 grandchildren. This is our home. I've owned 5 businesses here and been in real estate last 11 years. I will not do like Washington does, slander one person or another. I think Tom's done a decent job, but I think he needs a rest for 4 years, then he can come back again. You know, and I've got white hair, so I qualify, I think. But I believe I have no mountains to climb, but I've been burnt by some things the government did. I built a brand new building. Building department approved it. SBA condemned it, and it cost me $1.3 million. So I've been down the road. I know where I started when I was 12. I've been to Virginia House. I call it Miss Virginia. Stand in line for food. I have, as I say, no mountains to climb, and I kind of believe there's only one Alpha and Omega. That's God. Amen. But I think you bring it down on us humans and put it this way. The city has one Alpha. That's the people. You go to them, they're the first, and at the Mega, they're the people too. I would have no dictatorship coming down, and I'm not saying it does now, but I would have the people tell me what they want and let the city council do it. And as I say, at my age, I got no mountains to climb, and most of it, if you've met me and worked with me before, as I said, in real estate, and owned a waterbed store before that, and I have over 160,000 clients in that business, and you'd be lucky to find 18 that didn't say I treated them right. So I just want to move the city along. I was really negative against the baseball park. Now I kind of like it. They've developed it pretty good, but I have some mixed feelings about the riverfront. But I think, and I believe, we need to move out and get some businesses in the other parts of town. I live on the north side. Our crime rate's low, and the new chief of police, he's done excellent, bringing it down, 68% in homicides. So I'm not out there to say, hey, this is wrong, this is right. I just want to make it move a little more because, you know, we invented the computer here, the TV here, and I kid Liz Brown one time. I said, you know, you women have it real easy because you don't know what us men in Fort Wayne did for you. She says, what's that? I said, there's a man developed the ringer on the washing machine for you. And I got in a little bit of trouble after she hit me. So I have a sense of humor, but I was also a sergeant major in the Marine Corps and retired for 32 years of that, and I know how to kick you know what if I need to. Thank you. Again, like most everybody said, I'd call all my staff together and I'd say, okay, what can we do for the people? What do you need done? And then I believe, and I'm a realtor now, and there are problems with homes, but the banks don't care. Unless we do something, they'll turn the water off when they flood, okay? And there are certain regulations they can. I would push to see what I could do to get regulations changed. The other thing that bothers me is, at my age, I'm not worried about too much of the future. I know where it's going to be at. But it's the young children that we're bringing up. The young people that go to college or go to high school but quit, or go to high school and don't graduate. I want to see them working. I lost a son, 16 years old. There's a lady you probably know named Denise. She lost a son, died in her arms from being shot. You know, so I want to make the neighborhood better for the kids. Whether it's improving houses, we're talking about doing some stuff over here at Memorial Park area. That's fine, and I brought up at the meeting, you know, we don't want apartments. You want homes. You want to be sure that if you're going to put a house up there, it's 2 bedrooms, not a 1 bedroom, because you want to stay there. Those homes should be something we try to let them buy, not rent. You also want garages, because if you don't have a garage, what's going to happen to your car? So when they design something, design for the future, okay? Yeah, there are problems, but it takes the neighborhood and it takes the people in the government, people that are in office, to move it forward. guys, because I say, I have no mountains to climb. My time is shortly going to be gone in a few years. I hope after 4 years, so, but and then Tom can come back and, because I got gray hair with him. But again, it's the neighborhood, the people. I live on the north side. I call it the slums of Cherry Hill. I live in Stillwater, no $1 million in my basement. But I also think we have a heck of a lot of good citizens. As I say, this town has been known for good inventions, and it's known to go. And we're the #2 city in the state. Let's make it better than Indianapolis. Thank you. I remember several years ago, before 69 was around here, when they tore Lutheran down, they were thinking moving it out south, but then say, let's go where the interstate is. Now you got 469 going all the way around town. There's no excuse not to have business here. It's been the idea of the crime in its area and all that kind of problem. And the thing, and I mentioned city council several times ago, why is all the home developers building north? You don't see any homes being developed out southeast. I think that's going to change as the crime goes down and people get to know the area. One thing Tom Smith, I thought, brought up at one meeting, councilman in the 1st district there, is that why don't we look at doing something to get retail business in the old Kmart? There's been a building, I used to have a waterbed store out there. I think it used to be Park Target, sitting there. It's been sitting for years.
Amen.
And I think some Canadian company's paying several thousand a year for taxes. Why don't we offer something in the retail people to get your business in there? Sort of a tax, not a free tax, but it's kind of a tax rebate, so they pay. Get them to come down here. I was in several years ago, because I used to be on the south side here with my businesses, that I went into Southtown. And I'm standing in this store, and this guy comes in, and he takes something off the shelf, puts it in his pocket, and the girl's standing there, the clerk's standing there watching him. He walks right out the door, and I say, aren't you going to do something? Call security? He said, no, they'll come back and steal more and tear things up. It was the image of the fright. And now that is going away. And we need to let people know their business areas down here. There's no reason we're not building things for manufacturing here. You got Vera Bradley leaving. Why are they leaving? They're not leaving town, but they're taking their line to China, one of their production lines. Okay? I think it's going to hurt them in the long run because they don't have Made in America anymore. I think we need to get retail here, and we need more positive thinking for the area. And it'll come, but it's just a matter of we keep moving that way, and I'd like to continue to move it that way.
Bob Bastian.
Yeah, thank you. As I say, I went to Purdue only for 2 years, and then decided I should leave, or I got married to one of the two. I haven't figured it out yet. But I always thought D's were dandy and F was fine. And that gives you an idea. I poured concrete. I worked concrete when I was a kid, going to high school. Schools, I have a hard time believing, and I know they get $2 million they get for bonuses and wages. I have a hard time believing that the teachers or the organization wouldn't think more of the kids' safety and transfer them. Even if they get the bonus, give it to the school for the buses. Your kids are out there, That's terrible, and I rode the bus. Jobs. It ties to, we send our kids off to college. They go to Notre Dame, or they go to Harvard, or some of these big colleges. I'd like to see a program, whether locally, or not that, but say locally, that they go to school here. One of the biggest problems for people losing homes and stuff is they can't afford the college bills to pay again. I'd like to see when they get a job, maybe 5% of their wage goes to pay off their bill. It's painless that way. Because they go out there and they get these $100,000 bills, and they lose their homes when they get them, because maybe they lose their jobs. One strong thing to make the things better in a neighborhood is, number one, is to have a good neighborhood association. The biggest problem we find as you come to the south side, there's a lot of rentals. A lot of people don't care what they rent you. Okay. Now there are a lot of good ones out there, but I know a lady, she got a house, and the house fell in on her, and found out the people that rented her, it happened to them 2 other times. So what we need is some good, strong, you're talking about Cindy with code enforcement. I think she does good in a way, because you go down on Kinsmore, I think it's 1227, something like, there's a condemned sign. I got keys to get most of those, so I get in. Now, they a lot of times cannot go in there by law if the bank has it. Now, the whole basement wall was fell in, they put plywood. There's a man in town would go in, fix the basement, because that's where most of your problems are anymore in the older homes, would fix the basement up. Code enforcement can't pull it off of demolitions because the bank won't correspond with them. Now, there's things that people don't know. And there's a thing called a deficiency, okay? If you would, and I'm saying in general, anybody, they lose their house, say they owe 120 on their house. The bank gets 60 selling it. That bank can come back on your next house and put a lien for 60,000. Most people don't know that. But the other side, they don't tell you. I think they do in Florida, but they don't do it here. If the bank gets more than that 120, that can go back to you that owned the home. No bank tells you that. So what we need to do is to get our organizations together, and they'll do it, have some kind of statutes. If you go down the alley and there's 5 cars sitting there with the wheels off of them, say, okay, send them a note out. Next week we'll be down, and put them in the trash and charge them for it. You know, because it doesn't make your neighborhood any better when there's trash built up.
That's right.
You tend to lose your pride, okay? And I know how that works because I used to be stationed right downtown Detroit, right after the riots, down on Belle Isle, if you're familiar with Detroit. They had the same problems. Look where they're at now. We don't need to be that way. We need to get together and move it along. Yeah, okay. If I miss one of these, remind me. I've owned 5 businesses, and I ran 2 international businesses. One here in Fort Wayne was a branch. Anytime I had an employee, okay, and I employed over 3,000 people at one time. I knew all my employees, and if I had a foreman that wanted to fire someone, he didn't fire them on his own. They had to come and talk to me. I believe that the people should have a say-so. You just don't fire someone because you just don't like him, you know, or her. You have that, let them say their side of the story. And then whether you want to call it collective bargaining, or you have a board of your employees that are monitoring their own people, that's the way it should be. There should be no one on the dictator side, because I've been in that route. And I've worked union and both non-union. South side, is the South side bad? I think was brought up here. I would challenge, and I get really upset sometimes when they say, well, you live north, you don't care about us. Well, that's not true. I would challenge anybody. I've probably donated in the last 4 or 5 years, probably 10,000 cans of food to the Virginia House, and there's another one right down the street from it, I forgot what it is, to the soup kitchen. There was food that people were throwing away. I'm a realtor. If you see a sign going through town that says RCB Realty, that's me. I'm down here all the time. The thing is, a lot of these homes get closed on, and people walk out and leave food in there, and it's brand new. There's nothing wrong. I've given clothes. In fact, if you look at my car out there now, it's packed full of clothes of a person that they got Alzheimer's. They're in California. The PLA signed it. And a friend of mine bought the house, and they were just going to throw them away. These are like almost new clothes. So I'll be donating them, and I'll do that. I feel it's my job to get back because, as I say, my dad died when I was 2.5. My uncles helped raise me with my mom. She worked for $35 a week. And of course I'm old, that's why it's back that way. But the thing is, I've seen what people walk through, and that's the same way I'll handle it. Talk about Ferguson. One thing I can say about Fort Wayne, we got some very smart leaders, and I'll say black leaders, because we don't need Al Sharpton down here. You take care of it yourself. We haven't had the problems. I mean, yes, you have problems, but we haven't had the problems as Missouri's had. What else do I need here? There was another question I asked, forgot what it was. But I care for the people. I got no mountains to climb. You know, I probably wouldn't go for a second term, because I want to retire to Hawaii, but I'd never go for a second term. And I didn't know your dad, you know, you were production of that. That's pretty good, being an attorney, and you know. And I have attorneys, but 3 cups of coffee cost me $250. Yeah, so I'll pass that on. But remember, I'm always going to have an open door, and I become colorblind. Being in Detroit, Chicago station, around Eaton and Green, I used to go through there 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, you know. So I'll pass it on. Does anybody know where Stofflet and Broadway is? Yeah. Anyone know where 27 Anthony is? Yeah. I had stores there several years, so I know what you go through. And I'd like to direct this lady's question. You know what they call the new bridge going across the river on Maple Crest? The felony bridge. Because we do have a lot of crime on the north side. There's been banks, Marathon Station, and where do they head? When they hear there's a crime, the police set it to south end of the bridge there. You'll get a lot of, we do have crime all over. And they like to say, well, we got crime in the south because they like to, what do you call it, stigmatize or whatever you call it. It's not. You're right. We do have crime all over. And we, you forgot I went to Purdue, so I wasn't too smart, and I didn't graduate. I got 3
You have to
years.
blame the media for that.
Huh?
You blame the media for
Right.
that.
Media has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I basically say. I just think of me when you vote because I've only been there 4 years. Thank you.